Today we're going to be talking about a topic that is super important to us as journalists, and that's interviewing. We'll start by talking about some basic vocabulary and then move into the interviewing process. Let's begin with the definition of interview. An interview is a question and answer session. This means that interviewing is asking someone questions and they respond with answers. There are two roles in an interview: the interviewer and the interviewee. The interviewer is the person asking the questions, and the interviewee is the person or people answering them. So why is interviewing so important to us as journalists? It is because interviewing is the most common source of information gathering for journalists. As I already mentioned at the end of the types of sources video, it is a primary source and journalists love to use it. Now for the interviewing process. This is the basic structure of how most journalists conduct an interview. There are 5 steps to it, so let's talk about each one of them. Step 1 is research and basic information. To begin the process, we want to research our topic and story and a person we're interested in speaking with. Once we have some basic knowledge and background information about the topic and person, we can request to interview them. We want to make sure we know some information so we don't embarrass ourselves when we are talking to the person for the interview. Step 2 is contacting the person. After we know who we want to talk to, we want to find out how we can contact them. We might be able to do this by just looking on the internet or asking someone that may already know them. Now, if you are reporting at a live event, like a sporting event or concert, and you are trying to find people to interview while you are there, you can request to speak with them right then. No matter how you come in contact with them, always be professional and polite when requesting the interview. I cannot stress enough that you are not only representing you when you're reporting, but you're also representing the publication or organization that you're reporting for. I'm providing you with a couple of examples of scripts that you can use when you're contacting a person for an interview. Let's take a look at them. Here's a script for if you are at an event and were with them in person and want to interview them on the spot. Hello, my name is Corinne Miller, and I am reporting for the Cougar Express news website. I was wondering if you would be willing to have an interview with me for a story I'm working on about blank by answering a few questions. Here's a script for if you were contacting them by phone and they answer. Hello, my name is Corinne Miller, and I am reporting for the Cougar Express news website. I was wondering if you would be willing to have an interview with me for a story I'm working on about blank. Do you have time to answer some questions now, or would you rather schedule for another time? Here's a script for if you were contacting them by phone and you have to leave a message. Hello, my name is Corinne Miller, and I am reporting for the Cougar Express news website. I was wondering if you would be willing to have an interview with me for a story I'm working on about blank. You can call me back at, and then my number. I look forward to speaking with you. Here's a script for if you were contacting them by email or written message. Hello, my name is Corinne Miller, and I am reporting for the Cougar Express news website. I was wondering if you would be willing to have an interview with me for a story I'm working on about blank. I can be reached at, and then my email address. I look forward to speaking with you. Thank you, Corinne Miller. Step 3 is preparing for the interview. If you have enough time in advance, prepare at least 7 questions to ask the person. 7 is a good number of questions to begin with, and you may end up asking more or less questions depending on how the interview is going. For in-person, phone call, or video conferencing interviews, you'll want to determine how you will record the interview. You may decide just to write the answers down, record the audio, or record a video. I would recommend that you always do 2 of these to prevent you from missing specific details, and then you can make notes about how you may want to use the information. As far as your questions are concerned, there are 2 types of questions: closed-ended questions and open-ended questions. Closed-ended questions usually have yes, no, or one-word answers, and they often begin with words like did or do. An example might be, did you see the game last night? The answer to that would most likely be yes or no. We don't ask too many of these questions because they don't give us a lot of information. The other type of question is an open-ended question. Open-ended questions generally have answers that are more than one word, and they often begin with words like what, why, how, or describe. An example might be, describe what you thought about the choir concert. The person is more likely to give you a descriptive answer with more information, so we always want more of these questions when we are interviewing someone. Step 4 is how to begin the interview. First, I'm going to talk to you about how to begin the interview if it is in person, by phone call, or by video conference. You always want to start with a professional greeting, such as hello or good morning, and introduce yourself, or reintroduce yourself if you met before. If you decide you are going to record audio or video for the interview, let the person know you want to record and make sure it is okay with them. If it isn't, you will need to respect their wishes and not record. After that, before you begin your questions, have them say and spell their name for you. Even if it seems like a very simple name, we never want to misspell or mispronounce someone's name in a story. Here's an example script for the beginning of the interview. Good afternoon. My name is Corinne Miller, and this interview is for the story about blank. Before I ask you my questions, I wanted to let you know I'll be writing down your answers as well as recording our conversation. Is that okay? If they say yes, then you can start recording. Great. Can you say and spell your name for me, please? In journalism, it is frowned upon to have an initial interview with someone by email, so we want to make sure that we try all of our other options first. If you must interview someone through email, you still need to greet them professionally in the email and present your questions clearly, as well as instructions for how you would like them to answer the questions. Here's an example of an email for an interview. Good afternoon, whatever their name is. This is Corinne Miller, and this interview is for the story about blank. I have typed the questions I have for you below. You can type your responses next to each of the questions, and then you would list your questions out. Once you made it through your questions, you're on to the next and final step. Step 5, how to end the interview. Be sure to thank the interviewee for their time. If you don't already have their contact information, make sure you get it from them for any follow-up questions you may have. If you have the contact information already, make sure they know you may reach out to them for follow-up questions. Here's a script for an in-person interview in which you need their contact information. Thank you very much for your time. Blank. Could I please have your contact information in case I have any follow-up questions or need something to be clarified? And then you would write down their contact information. Great. Thank you again, and have a great day. Here's a script for an in-person, phone call, or video conferencing interview, and you have their contact information already. Thank you very much for your time. I will let you know if I need any follow-up information on anything that needs to be clarified. Thank you again, and have a great day. Here's a script for the rest of the email you would send for an email or written message interview. So this information would go below your questions in the email. Thank you very much for taking the time to answer these questions. I will let you know if I need any additional information or need something to be clarified. Thank you again, and have a great day. And then you would sign with your first and last name. Now I'm going to show you a real-life example of this process. I'm going to pretend that I'm writing a story about a specific person. We call that kind of story a profile story. I would first reach out to the person through email, and it would look like this. Hello, my name is Corinne Miller, and I would like to write a profile story about you for the middle school yearbook. Would you be available for a Zoom interview with me to answer some questions I have for my story? Please let me know what time and day works best for you. Thank you very much, Corinne Miller. Once I receive confirmation and we plan a time for a Zoom interview, I make sure that I have my questions ready to go. Here are the questions I am asking my interviewee. What is your all-time favorite meal? Describe your favorite memory. How did you feel about your childhood overall? Where is your favorite place to travel and why? How are you feeling about the pandemic? Describe a challenge you've faced. Where do you see yourself in the future, and what do you see yourself doing? Notice how I tried to make sure that all of my questions were open-ended. So even if it was a closed-ended question, I usually asked why at the end. I also decide that I'm going to write my answers down as well as record the Zoom call as long as I have permission. Here is what my Zoom interview would look like. I edited out the answers for the sake of time. Hi, so I'm Corinne Miller, and this interview is for the story about your life. So before we get started with the questions, I am recording the interview as well as writing down the answers. Is it okay that I'm recording?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so before we move forward, can you please just say and spell your name for me?
Sure. Jody Dora, Jodiedora.
Perfect. Thank you. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So our first question is, what is your all-time favorite meal? Question 2, describe your favorite memory. All right, question 3, how did you feel about your childhood overall? All right, question 4, where is your favorite place to travel and why? Okay, question 5, how are you feeling about the pandemic? Okay, so can you describe a challenge that you have faced? Question 7, our last question. Where do you see yourself in the future, and what do you see yourself doing? All right, so that is all the questions that I have right now. Thank you so much for your time and taking the time to do this with me. And I will let you know if I have any follow-up questions or need anything to be clarified. Is it okay if I contact you the same way that I did before?
That's perfect.
All right. Great. Well, thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. You've been a joy to speak to. Have a great day.
I would also send a thank you email to show her my appreciation for her time. And there you have it. The 5 steps of the interviewing process, as well as an example for you to look back on if you need it. That's all I have for this video, so I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.